Hi guys, well this is 7 good reasons to change rigs. Okay guys, well as you might have guessed, this is another one of my informational videos. I am really enjoying doing these because I get a really good response from you guys. I get a lot of interaction and I don't know, just input from all sorts of people, and so I'm having a lot of fun doing this series, and I'm going to start calling it my Sevens series or something like that. I don't quite know yet, but yeah, it's been really fun finding different reasons why people would want to do certain things in a nomadic lifestyle, and you know, changing out your rig or doing something different is no different. I know that kind of sounded funny, but it's the truth. I mean, just because we decided to embark on this lifestyle doesn't mean we're going to want to have the same camper or camper van or RV or whatever it is forever. It's just like any other living situation. Sometimes things have to change. All right, guys. Well, here's my 7 good reasons to change your rig. First of all, number 1 is the most important as far as I'm concerned, and I'm starting off with the most important one. So if you got anything out of this video, this is the one that I think is the most important that you should get, is reliability. People change their rigs because the one that they're in is not reliable. In the nomad world, or any world really, reliability trumps everything. So I don't care how nice your rig is, how cushy and how comfortable it is. If it's not reliable, you're not going to be happy. You're not going to be free. I personally will give up my comforts to keep my freedom. I will not live in something cushy and nice if it's not going to get me down the road. Okay? If I am scared to death to drive it more than 50 miles away from where I'm at, then I am not going to keep it. So reliability is the most important reason why people change their rigs. Okay, number 2, your rig's not the right size. One of the most common things, believe it or not, is people end up buying a rig that's too big. They start off in a sticks and bricks or in an apartment or some big old house or something like that, and they're just used to having something bigger than that. And so they think a big hoopty old, 30-foot motorhome, whether it's nice or not, is something that's good for them. And it is for a while probably, and they're probably pretty happy until they have to drive it cross country a few times and it gets pretty old. Or until they decide they're going to go to a national park and get told that they have to park outside and ride the shuttle in because they don't let anything that's over 20 feet into the park. Or they try to park in a city to go visit a friend and there's parking regulations against their length and height. So yeah, a lot of times they end up buying something too big and they have to go smaller. The opposite happens too. Like most of the time is people that start off in their little cars. They just can't stand it anymore and they want to be a nomad. So they just take what they have and all they have is their little 4-door sedan or whatever. And then they save up money and they buy something bigger, something they could possibly stand up in or whatever. Or maybe they think that they're going to be okay in just a camper shell because they've seen other people do it and they used to go on weekend camping trips in it and it was no big deal. Well, and then they started living full time in it and decided that just wasn't for them. So size, it really does matter in the nomad world. Size matters. So yes, that's one of the huge reasons why people switch their rigs, is because it's the wrong size. Okay. Let's see, the rig is poor quality. And what I mean by that is, and this mostly pertains to RVs, most of your self-built rigs are not quite so bad, especially if you're not as skilled. You're not going to be building as much complicated things that can break. But RVs tend to be of poorer quality, and while the drivetrain might be nice and new and great and want to run forever, your house is going to fall down around your head. That's happened to me several times in older rigs that I've had. The truck, even if there was something wrong with it, just kept on going. It was reliable and I could drive it to the mechanics and get it fixed or whatever. Never had to have it towed. However, the house part was falling down around my head and no amount of duct tape was going to hold it back together. And that just happens. Sometimes you just get poor quality or, really old and rotten, RVs, and they just fall apart on you and there's nothing you can do about it. It's time to just let it go and get another one. Okay. Number 4 is that you've changed your nomadic lifestyle and now your rig doesn't fit. Let's say you started out as an overlander or whatever, and then you had to go stealth camp in the city and your 4x4 doesn't work. Or maybe you started out stealth camping and you saved up and now you're out there boondocking and or, basically going on 4-wheel drive tracks, and your rig just doesn't work for that. So yeah, your rig doesn't fit your nomadic lifestyle anymore and you've had to change. So that's a good reason, I think, to change your rig. That's one of my considerations. Me personally, I want to be able to go further out in the back country than I can. And while, even Bob Wells will tell you that a van will take you to a lot of places that even RVs can't go, that's very true. However, there are some places that I would like to be able to go to and camp where I will not take this van. I do not want to hurt it like that. And I'm just not very confident in, its ability to, basically mountain goat up some of these roads that I know that even my little 4Runner could have done. So there's that, your lifestyle has changed, and so now your rig has to change to match your new lifestyle. So it doesn't mean that you're not going to be a nomad anymore. It just means that, now you need a different kind of vehicle. Okay, number 5, I think is kind of funny, but it really does happen. You just get bored. You get bored with the rig that you have. You don't really want to drive it anymore for whatever reason. It's just not doing it for you. And if you have the time, the money, or whatever to change it up, go right ahead. Do it, man. I don't see anything wrong with it. Mix it up. This is, your life. You got to be happy. You only live once on this earth this way. So you might as well just, have some fun. And if you can do it, why not? Change your rig if you're bored with it. Number 6, your rig never did work for your nomadic lifestyle and you're still rocking it. Okay. And finally, after whatever it took, you're going to change it. Number 6 is kind of like number 4, except for the fact that you basically just, took whatever you had and did it anyway. And now it's done. It's just, you can't do it anymore. I watched a lot of Carolyn's RV life when she was first starting out, and she did that. She took this, 27 or 30 foot or whatever it was RV that she had, this giant monster thing that was already falling apart anyway because it was one of those pieces of junk, and she'll even tell you that. And she's following people in vans out, and in the middle of the desert and on these back roads and stuff. And she's doing it, right? But her RV is falling apart the whole entire time. I mean, she's literally picking pieces of it off the ground and taping it back on. That's how bad it was. And she, she rocks, man, for doing that. I used to love to watch all that stuff, but in this lady, I mean, she's used to living in an apartment, and then on the other half of her life living out of a backpack. So basically she just treated her RV like it was a backpack on wheels and just kept going. And you know what? She did. She rocked it. But she had to change. She had to at least get a shorter rig, something that would go off-road a lot better than what she had in the first place. So that's another thing that happens, is your rig just never fits your lifestyle in the first place. And you basically drove it all you could, and now it's time for you to change because you probably blew it up or it fell apart or something like that. And that happens a lot to these overlanders too, man. They'll get these little, trailers and pull them behind their truck, and their truck is fine, but their little trailer just falls apart, because it just is not built to go over, rocks and gullies and things like that or whatever. And so their little rigs just don't last forever, and they have to do something else, and they end up getting, tougher trailers, or a lot of them just build their own thing. So, that's another reason why people build their own rig, is because they can build it, even if it's not as pretty and maybe quite as functional at first, it works better because they can build it sturdier than what they could buy. So yeah, that's number 6 is a big one. Your rig just never did fit your lifestyle in the first place, but you did it anyway. Okay, number 7 is a pretty big one, and it's mostly for city dwellers, people that, are wanting to keep a low profile for whatever reason. Either they go into the city every once in a while for, errands or whatever, and they don't want to be, messed with, or they have to, like me, they have to static camp for a while until they save up their money. And for whatever reason, the rig sticks out like a sore thumb, and that's a good reason to change your rig. Sometimes it can attract good attention if your rig is really cool looking, But the problem is then those people are going to be pestering you all the time, and you're never going to get any peace. You're never going to get any privacy. And if you're the kind of person that needs your solitude and you just can't get away from the city for whatever reason, and you don't want to be pestered all the time, then that's a good reason to change your rig into something that's a little bit less flashy. The other side of that coin too is that your rig can be extremely ugly and or way too big, and it becomes what my friends like to call a cop magnet. And so, yeah, you don't want that either. You don't want complaints. You don't want people calling the police saying there's this derelict RV out here, blah, blah, blah. You know, so that's a good reason to change your rig. If it's too ugly, too hoopty, too big, and you're trying to stay in the city and you keep a low profile, by all means, if you can afford it, change your rig to something a little bit nicer, a lot more low profile, a lot more sedate. Maybe as long as you're in the city, you might have to live in a minivan for a while just so that you blend in. You know, that is an extremely good reason to change your rig. You do not want to have something that's going to draw that much attention to you. Now, my friends call my van, because it's so iconic looking and so, you know, different from everything else in town, they call it a cop magnet. But that, you know, because of the type of person I am, I don't mind if police officers knock on my door, because most of the time they're asking if I saw something happening in my neighborhood, or they're asking me if I'm okay. They're just checking on me. So I have no problems with getting the knocks on the doors, and quite frankly, now that they all know who I am, they don't even bother me unless they need to ask me a question about somebody else. So really, I mean, I don't have a problem with sticking out like a sore thumb in my community, and everybody knows me. They all love me. You know, they like my van. They know I'm not doing any harm, so I don't get any complaints. But if I had moved to a different town or something like that, that might change. So my rig would at least have to get a paint job or something like that so that it would blend in better. So those are things that you need to consider, you know, when you're doing this, when you're first starting out, especially, and especially if you're still saving up money to be able to go out onto the road permanently and you still have to work your 9-to-5 job. Just make sure that your rig doesn't stick out like a sore thumb, especially if you're the type of person that does not want to have any attention. Okay, so in summary, the 7 good reasons to change your rig as a nomad. And number 1 is reliability. If your rig is not reliable, get rid of it, get something else. I don't care how attached to it you are, how much you love it. Doesn't matter. If you cannot make it reliable, you don't need it in your life. It's not serving you. Let it go. Okay, number 2, your rig's not the right size. Either it's too big or it's too little. Maybe you moved in with your girlfriend or your boyfriend. Now you guys gotta get a bigger rig. Who knows? Whatever the case may be, if it's not the right size, change it up. Number 3, your rig was just a piece of junk for whatever reason, new or otherwise, and the house part of it is falling apart. It happens, especially if you buy an RV. Just so you know, I don't care if you paid $200,000 for it or $200 for it. An RV, most of the time, I don't care how you slice it, is a piece of junk. They're not worth your money. Just so you know, before you get into an RV, it is a money pit. And I am not the only person that says this. And I have lived this several times in my life, my entire life. And I can tell you from personal experience that most RVs are pieces of junk and they're going to fall apart. I don't care how much money you pay for them. And there's no laws against this, and there's no protection for this, even if you buy a brand new one, other than to just get rid of it as fast as you can. If you get something like that that's falling down all over your head, get rid of it. Okay? Number 4. Your rig just doesn't fit your nomadic lifestyle anymore because you changed. Your lifestyle's changed and you have changed. So now you have to change your rig. Number 5, you're just bored with your rig and you want a different one. We all get bored, so that's a good reason, I think. You know, I have nothing against number 5. I think it's a good one. Number 6, your rig never did fit your nomadic lifestyle, but you rocked it anyway, and now it's time to change. That's a big one. You know, kudos to you. You are a tough, brave person, and you did exactly what you wanted no matter what, even though your rig couldn't keep up. But now it is time for you to get the rig that will work better for your lifestyle. So number 6 is a really good one. Ties in with number 4, but it's awesome. Okay, number 7, and it's a very good one. Your rig attracts too much attention, whether it's good or bad. It attracts way too much attention for you, and you need something that's a little bit more low profile. So hopefully you guys got something out of this. I'm hoping this works out for you. And anybody that has any other reasons why a nomad would want to change their rig, you know, please put it in the comments. I'd like to hear from some experienced nomads. You know, we all would actually. You know, I think that some of the new people out there can benefit from our experience. And if you guys have anything else that, you know, that you want to add or chime in, just, yeah, put it on in the comments. And thank you so very much for watching. And I hope you like what you saw. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe and all that good, wonderful YouTube stuff. And we will talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye.